How's it going, everybody? This is Radishhead and welcome back to Upland Analysis. It's time for the second of two collection prediction videos for the Berkeley and Alameda expansion release. So obviously both of these cities are releasing as expansions to the existing Oakland city, and we have been told that there will be between 4 and 7 collections as part of this reveal. I'm not 100% sure whether that's 4 to 7 for each city or 4 to 7 to share between Berkeley and Alameda. I hope 4 in each, at least, because that would be more fun. But I guess just as an early disclaimer, that if it is indeed 4 to 7 collections to share between Alameda and Berkeley, that means that there aren't going to be that many collections to go around. So I guess my first tip, while I'm starting off this Alameda video, is realistically, if you're minting properties, I think you're winning. I was just having a look at the stats for Alameda and Berkeley, and there are roughly 39,000 properties in is it Berkeley? There's about 48,000 in Berkeley and about 32 in Alameda. Now, let's not all of those are going to be included in the game, because Upland always has a certain percentage that they can't map onto the game map for whatever reason. So let's say in total that's about 80,000 properties between the two. Well, the Bronx came out recently, and that had about 80,000 properties. So these two cities combined are going to have about the same number of properties as the Bronx. Now, I don't think the West Coast is quite as pent up in terms of its demand as the East Coast was when Bronx came out. When Bronx came out, you had Rutherford doing crazy things, Manhattan had exploded, and there was just nothing else even close to where those cities were located. Over on the West Coast, I think San Francisco is seeing a lot of upward movement. You're not seeing as much of that in Bakersfield, which is kind of the Rutherford equivalent of the West. Although it might be quite fun to see if some people could, get together and pump Bakersfield. That would be quite fun to see. But even so, even if I don't think it's quite on the same level as the East Coast in terms of hype, I think these two cities are overdue. And I think, big prediction, but I think that Berkeley and Alameda are going to sell out in a day. Yeah. that's kind of my big statement. I think Chicago's just about sold out. I've got to make a video on that, to be honest. Just in time for my prediction of sellout before the end of the year. I was sort of like, ooh, was I too bold in that prediction? It looks like it might just happen. So yeah, I think there's a lot of people with a lot of UPIX who are wanting to spend it. And coming back to my original point, if you're like a newer player, you've got like a bit of UPIX to spend, don't buy existing properties on the secondary market. Just go to Berkeley or go to Alameda and just try to mint something, because if the city sells out in a day, I think you're going to be able to resell that for 2-3 times what you paid for it, possibly, depending on what the mint prices are like there. So yeah, I don't think that these city releases are going to do enough to provide all of this, these unminted properties for the new players, which I kind of originally thought was what these were about. But now I'm starting to think, now that I've had a look at the stats and how quickly, for example, the North Berkeley neighborhood went. I'm recording this just after the North Berkeley stress test. I didn't get a single thing. I got nothing. You'll see that I've got one property here, because I bought it on the secondary market for a pretty inflated price, just because I wanted to have a launching point to go and mint stuff for the full release tomorrow. Yeah, I think what these two city releases are actually for is to kind of get a little bit of UpX out of the economy before the real release, which is going to be a big hub city, maybe Dallas. There's some speculation been floating around about Texas. Maybe they're going to announce Dallas in the next few weeks. So they just want to get a little bit of UpX out of the economy because maybe it was a bit too hot. So yeah, maybe that's what it's all about. But back to Alameda and my predictions. I'm kind of rambling because unlike Berkeley, where I had quite a few candidates for collections and a lot of iconic areas, I just couldn't find that much about Alameda. That's not to say I don't think it's going to be popular, and I think it is going to sell out really quickly, especially because it's an island. But in fact, one of the only areas which I really identified as a super exciting bit actually isn't included in this release, and that would have been this Coast Guard Island over here. You can see why that would have been extremely popular if that did make it into the game. But sadly it hasn't. It is technically part of Alameda, but never mind. So let's talk about what I did find. And there are a few streets which kind of stand out as potential collections in Alameda. Probably the most significant of these is Webster Street, and this is one of the streets which actually comes across from Oakland. You can see Webster Street here, and it starts at this point here, and it's quite a long street. But when I was looking up events that happen in Alameda, Webster Street is kind of the downtown of Alameda. They do close it off sometimes for parades, and look, you've got the pinball museum there. That'd be fun to own. So yeah, Webster Street, I think of all the streets, is sort of my #1 candidate for a collection. There are a couple of other streets which, when I was looking at popular tourist destinations, some names came up more than others. Park Street, which again, if you can see my mouse, it starts at this bridge coming over from Oakland, and it just goes kind of southwest along here. So Park Street is quite a popular one. And then also, realistically, any of these avenues could be a collection, but to me, the one which popped up the most often was Lincoln Avenue. So maybe Lincoln Avenue has a better shot than Pacific Avenue or Eagle Avenue or San Jose Avenue. I'm not super confident in that, but it did feel like Lincoln Avenue had more going on than the others. Talking about neighborhoods, Marina obviously jumps out as a very small coastal neighborhood. Both of those things are things which people love, especially this Marina Drive right on the end. Don't forget, in fact, some of you may not even know this, one day we're going to have boats in Upland. So hopefully you know that cars are coming, but actually one day you're going to be able to have boats, and people with properties that kind of go out into the water, you'll be able to park your boat there and you'll be able to travel around. It'll be like a boat NFT, and you can show off the fact that you own a boat. So Alameda in general, anything which is kind of touching the water, so Marina will be a super popular candidate for that. This Marina Village, just look at all these docks along the waterfront. Those are going to be going for some big money. It doesn't even matter if they're a collection or not. If you go to other cities and look at the properties which are right up on the coast, I guarantee you they're all going to be expensive, because some players who are kind of in the know, they've already been buying them up. So if you can grab anything on the coast, the whole way around, that would be great. And just in general, in terms of neighborhoods, I guess the smaller the better. So Marina, East Shore, South Shore, and then there's a couple of weird ones over here. I could see Harbour Bay Isle maybe being a collection because it kind of stands out a bit. The streets themselves are quite, they're kind of reminiscent of these luxury neighborhoods which I see just from the sky. The fact that they're all these little cul-de-sacs and the roads are kind of curved. For some reason, I'm learning this about American geography, if from the sky your neighborhood looks like this, where all the roads kind of bend, they're not in like grids, that usually means that it's quite a luxurious area to live. So I'm going to assume that Harbour Bay Isle is quite a fancy place, and therefore mint prices will be quite high, but also I think demand might be quite high there as well. So yeah, that's it really. Webster Street, Park Street, what else have I written down? Lincoln Avenue, anything on the coast, but most importantly, just mint what you can, because I think that Alameda Avenue is going to go really quickly. I think Berkeley is going to go really quickly. And if you manage to get anything at all, I think you're going to be smiling at the end of it, I'll tell you. So I hope you found that helpful. And don't worry, the giveaway is coming. My whole schedule has been pushed back a day or two because my internet went down, and then these collection predictions have got to come out. So I will be spinning the wheel in the next day or so. So best of luck for that, you people who have signed up to hopefully win 10,000 of the 50,000 jackpot. To celebrate 500 subscribers. And speaking of subscribers, if you did enjoy this video, I'd love it if you gave me a like and a subscribe if you want to see similar content in the future. But until next time, have a great day.